Hello, friend. We are so happy to communicate with you in this way today.
Great. Thank you so much for this connection. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We also appreciate the opportunity to interact with more and more humans on your planet.
Great. So, to start off with, I have a strong connection to the Pleiades and Pleiadians, and have recently been coming to the awareness that there are maybe some Pleiadians that are in contact with me.
Yes. We sense this very strongly. We feel your energy. It is very familiar to us. Please go ahead.
Perfect. And so, I just wanted to kind of make that statement. It's not really a question, but I got to start off with, I want to talk about some of the things I've been experiencing lately. And I'd say about 6 months ago, I came across a channel who brought me into the awareness and told me that ascension is really more about integration of the light and the dark. And before I was aware of that, I almost thought, I was labeling myself as a light worker, and I felt like I had to put up a fight against the darkness. And now I'm realizing that was kind of my resistance to all that is. Can you give me any more insight in that area? Just how I can allow more integration of the light and the dark, and to be more of what it is, rather than having to put up this fight against maybe things that I don't prefer?
Yes, we enjoy your question very much. This is a subject dear to our own hearts, and we feel that it is the path that you have been drawn to partially because of your Pleiadian connection. From our perspective, and as we speak, we wish to remind you that everything we say is simply a matter of our perspective. We do not have all the answers of the universe. We just wish to share our perspective, so we recommend that you take on board whatever resonates and feels true for you in your heart, and anything that does not, we recommend that you disregard it. Because ultimately the true knowing of what is right and true for you will come from within you. So we are extremely excited to share our perspective on this matter. We perceive there is a kind of oneness. It is rather limiting to express these ideas in your language. So what we speak is not entirely accurate. Please also bear this in mind. We do our best to use your language and the constraints of it to express these understandings and ideas. So we experience the oneness, which encompasses all that is. It could be what some refer to as God, an intelligent, conscious energy which manifests itself through all beings in order to play, discover and learn and expand. Expanding on by experiencing both spectrums. By spectrums we mean the light and the dark. There is a whole range to experience, and it all allows opportunity for growth and fun if it is not taken too seriously, if it is seen for the illusion, the game that it is. Much resistance can occur within the physical system when there is judgment of the dark, what we label the dark aspects.
Yes.
The resistance is not necessary. it comes from the labeling and the attachment to the ideas of the labeling. So many people label certain things as dark, bad, evil, wrong, and decide that they shouldn't be. But of course they be, because they're part of the oneness. That is why they exist. You cannot change that. So the idea that they should not exist causes an inner turmoil, an inner stress within the system. This puts a halt to the natural flow of energy through the system. We can recommend some sort of techniques to use which will allow more beneficial energy flow in the system. This is when, and we feel that you personally have the awareness to recognize this. When you recognize that your system or your mind is judging something as negative or wrong or bad, are we correct in thinking that you have the capacity to recognize when this is happening within your system?
Yes, I can recognize it.
Okay, so when this happens, we recommend that you observe the mind. Simply notice the judgments it is making.
Okay.
And along with this, feel in the body what is happening in the energetic system. Most likely there is some kind of contraction or energetic blockage occurring in some parts of the body. So as you feel in the body and sink deeper into the body, you will most likely notice a contraction of energy. This is energy which has been repressed or stuck and wishes to be released. As it is released, there will be an improved energy flow within the system, a greater lightness within the system. More light will be able to enter. So you can feel the contraction. Often it will most probably occur in the gut region. Is this something you have already experienced?
Yes, it is.
Or noticed? Okay.
I would say between my solar plex and even my heart chakra, I can feel that blockage, or when I'm judging something as negative, I feel stuck there, yes.
Yes, we perceive that your heart chakra is in the process of opening. So this is a good sign when you feel this contraction, because it is the old energies releasing. It needs to be felt in order to be released. So you can relax into the moment, noticing the judgment and noticing it merely as being a judgment. It is not the ultimate truth, because the ultimate truth encompasses all that is. Not that one is more important than the other. They simply are. The universe would be imbalanced if there were only what you term light. There wouldn't be the opportunity for growth. Many people would be horrified to hear that we say negative, or what you label negative and disturbing situations, are required. Without them, there wouldn't be the opportunity for growth, because this is what propels humanity to expand their consciousness. There are multiple layers to this. We could explore for hours on end this topic. We feel that we would like you to direct the conversation so that you get as much as possible out of this interaction. We have spoken for quite a while. If there is any particular direction you would like to take this, or if you would like us to clarify further on any point, please feel free to do so.
Yes, okay. And to stay on the subject of oneness, I'm finding myself recently, when I'm on the internet in that collective reality, and I see people that are maybe experiencing doubt or fear or not happy with themselves in general. Before, I thought that I had a strong need to possibly help them, and I would find a lot of times most of the people stay stuck within their fear and their doubt. And so I would make the decision to be best on both parties, me and the other party, the other being, to just let them be. But at times, I feel that it's right in my heart to just let them be who they are and go through their experience. But at times my head will trick me and say things like, you shouldn't leave them, or you're leaving them behind, or something of this nature. So that's something I'm kind of struggling with right now. I understand the awareness, obviously, of the one, all that is encompassing the light and the dark. And I have the ability to help people at times, but here recently I'm finding that I almost need to just let them experience whatever they're going through. And then my head will start to trick me and say, no, you're wrong for doing that, you're leaving them behind, and things of this nature. Can you help me with that a little bit?
We can provide our perspective on this topic. We feel that we understand what you are expressing. We invite you to take some deep breaths and relax into your body as we speak. We sense slight anxiousness in the system.
Yes.
As you relax and breathe, more energy will flow into the system, opening the cells and allowing you to receive on a deeper level what we wish to share. The path you have chosen to walk requires a great deal of self-reflection, self-honesty, and looking into the shadow, dark aspects of ourselves, which often we do not want to see. Everybody has this aspect within themselves. We try to shove away the darkness, we try not to look at it, because we don't like what we see. This experience that you talk about, we feel is connected to the previous question regarding embracing the dark and the light. It is connected in the sense that you are beginning to notice the darker aspects within yourself connected to the ego, and learning to accept and love these parts of yourself. The ego likes to take command of the system. It likes to be in charge. It likes to know what's happening. It likes to feel like the boss. It likes to feel like I know everything. I have all the answers. I'm the man. In fact, the heart has much more power. So there is a transition process happening within your system where the ego, which was once in control, is no longer the commander of the ship. The heart, as we explained earlier, is gaining power. It is releasing these blockages, these repressed energies, and it's taking control. This scares the ego as it wants to remain in the seat of command. It is very intelligent, and as you begin to notice your own ego, it takes a backdoor entry to try to trick you in order to remain in power. So when you hear comments from it, such as, yes, but you need to help people, it may whisper these very convincing ideas to you and create some confusion. So it is harder to decipher the truth in these situations. We recommend that when you notice this happening, and we feel that you have begun to notice this happening, that you feel into your heart, into your body. Your body is your guidance system. If something feels slightly off, it could even be very subtle, a subtle feeling that something's not right about this, then you remain present and calm with this feeling and do not take action from it. Action taken from instruction of the ego is not always the most beneficial action. Most often it is better to remain still and quiet and be. And even without speaking sometimes, you can have more of an impact just by being deeply present. You can affect people that you are not even in the same physical space as.
Thank you. I do understand. Okay, so to maybe turn the page and go a different direction, something else that I'm working on is trying to know and understand how all things exist at once. And it seems that me, myself, as well as other human beings I encounter, are almost stuck in this linear perspective, and I'm really trying to work on not always constantly looking at things from a linear perspective, and to understand that the past doesn't affect the present, and the present doesn't necessarily determine the future. Is this something that during my lifetime I will, being a human on Earth, is this something that I constantly have to go through? Living in the matrix of space and time, and not something that really I envelop until I'm in spirit? Or is this something that I can work on and maybe transition out of while I'm still human on Earth?
Nothing is set in stone. There are many timelines, and you're constantly jumping between the different timelines, and you're constantly perceiving different, we say, models of you. Although you do not notice this because it is happening very quickly.
Yes.
Everything in the universe is happening simultaneously. Oh, as though in one bang of expansion. It is rather challenging to put into words these concepts, because the third dimension where you exist has a certain perception which is not fully open to many of these experiences. However, we shall attempt to do our best in explaining. So you focus your perception. Right now your perception is focused within those eyes you see through. If you were to move outwards from this and widen your perception, you would also perceive other lives which are happening simultaneously. So you could come out of this one and go into another one which is happening at the same moment. If your brain were to comprehend the mechanics of the all that is, it would most probably explode, because there is such a complexity to it in terms of third dimensional understanding. It is kind of a paradox, because it is at the same time also very simple. We feel we digress slightly. So to answer your question, everything is possible. Everything is possible in this lifetime for you. We recommend that if something is exciting for you, if you're drawn to do something, to experiment, to play with an idea, to research an idea, that you follow that inner pull. This will guide you. So you are most capable of experiencing in this lifetime the knowing, and we do not mean knowing from the mind, we mean knowing from experience, the experiencing of oneness, connecting with all that is in a single moment of eternity. When you leave this body, you will automatically perceive much more of the picture, the totality, because right now you are in a limited vehicle. As more light enters into your system, as your consciousness expands, so will your perception. So to a certain extent, you have the capacity to experience that which you desire. However, within the third dimension, there are limitations which are kind of like the structures of the game, which is not possible to change. For example, we give you an example of gravity.
Yes.
That is one of the structures of the third dimension. So
right.
There will always be a sense of past, present and future while you are experiencing the third dimension. However, your perception can widen and recognize an experience beyond that. Do you wish us to clarify anything or explain further on this point?
No, I understand. Thank you for that.
You're most welcome.
And this kind of leads into my next question, where I am hearing things. I know that all things exist simultaneously. So at times I hear things like, there's no more fence riding. You need to be on one side or the other, or the train tracks are splitting apart and you need to decide what you prefer. And it's hard for me to grasp that concept when all things exist simultaneously, on top of the fact to be the person or the being to help one to get from one place to the next, or maybe to hop from one train to the other. Isn't it possible, that you always have a choice? Because sometimes we hear that you only will have maybe a final choice, and that's where you need to be, or that's all that you will experience. And I don't necessarily find that to be true. Like I'm saying, if all things are existing at the same time, won't we always have a choice to go to the light or go to the dark, or vice versa?
You always have a choice of what to choose in any given moment.
Yes.
So you have a range of options available to you in any given moment, and you always have a choice because of your free will. Some choices will serve you better, and this is one of the purposes of the game for expansion, because when you make a choice, you will experience the effects of that choice like a kind of feedback system. If you do not learn something from it, from the choice, then the same thing will most likely keep repeating and coming back to you until you learn it. And then when you finally realize, the consciousness will expand and a different choice will be made. We do not fully comprehend what you mean when you speak of the two trains, because there are not simply two choices or two paths, there are an infinite number. There are infinite timelines, so you have so many possibilities.
Okay. Let's see too. So So a lot of times we're hearing that, you know, once you make that choice, you're kind of almost stuck in that, what you put out. That is true in one sense, but in another sense, like you're saying, there's always the free will, there's always a choice to experience something different. So it almost sounds like when I said the train tracks are splitting, I know there's more than two, obviously, but it almost sounds like whatever choice you make is what's stuck with. And I don't believe that necessarily.
In a certain sense, on one level, it is true. For example, if you chose to kill another person, and then you took that train, then it cannot be changed. It is done. The action is done. In this sense, it is true that you cannot change it.
I see.
On a deeper level, you always have options from where you are at in any given moment. So, maybe you are referring to a specific example. This analogy is rather vague for us to give specific guidance. Do you have a specific example in mind?
Well, let's use I don't have anything that I maybe personally experienced, but, you know, you mentioned killing another person, so I'll just go with that. If you do that, you will experience maybe the consequences, but as our consciousness expands and becomes more aware of everything existing at once, isn't it possible to not go through with maybe the consequence? And, you know, that's just an example, obviously.
Yes, so the consequence, for example, would be that you would be sent to prison. You are extremely powerful beings, more than most of you on your planet comprehend. You would most definitely have the power to not go to prison, to change that consequence. Should there be a shift, a big enough shift occurring in the consciousness, because the outer reflection of the world always reflects what is going on inside of you.
Yes, I understand.
We must leave you now. It has been a great joy for us exploring these topics with you. We are extremely happy to have communicated and interacted with you today. We send you much love.